right, well, hello everybody, and welcome to another Cooking with Friends opportunity here. It's just a great chance for members and friends of Lincoln Northside to get together around some cool ideas for your kitchens, for your palate, for your appetite. And we've got Nancy and Cheryl here again to share with us another wonderful recipe, or a few recipes here. So it's over to you both.
All right, welcome. We're glad to be with you again tonight, or day if you're watching this at a later time. We're kind of last time we got together, we started a kind of a fall theme of doing some soups and some side options to go with your soup. So we're going to continue that tonight. I'm going to do a couple soups, and Cheryl's going to share a yummy patty idea with everybody.
And we'll let Nancy start with one of her soups.
Okay, first soup I'm going to do is kind of a fallback soup. You got somebody said, your husband calls and says, "Hey, I'm bringing so-and-so home with me for supper." Or you've got company that came over for the afternoon and hasn't left, and you had to think of something quick to eat for supper. And so it's taco soup, and there's lots of variations on it, but this one is just really simple and fast. And I can talk about some different things you can do with it to make it a little different as I go. So the taco soup, basically, I just open up cans and cook it together. And kind of depends. So it's a can of kidney beans, and you can use your favorite bean, or you can cook your own beans. You can do variation of beans. If you do it like, usually I do a double batch, because a single batch is never enough for our family. So I might do one kidney and one black bean. A can of whole corn. You could use frozen corn if you want. You just got to remember that if you use frozen corn, the liquid part is going to be different, so you might have to add a little bit of water or broth to it. I chose to use a no salt corn just to try to lower the sodium a little bit in this, because most everything has salt in it. And then a can of tomatoes, a can of tomato sauce, and these are all the standard 15-ounce size cans. Use that, and then a can, just your favorite taco seasoning. You can find taco seasoning that's gluten-free. You can find it that's spicy. You can find it less sodium. You got lots of choices. And then just your favorite burger. Tonight I grabbed some beefless ground Gardein style stuff, and you just add about a cup of that in there. And you're just going to put it on the stove to simmer until it's all warmed up. And we'll show you what the finished product looks here at the end of the video. So now we're going to see Cheryl's patty for us.
All right, I gotta grab my recipe. This is something I discovered maybe a couple months ago, and I thought it looked interesting. And I make it gluten-free because some of my family needs gluten-free. You do not have to make it gluten-free. You can do something different. The recipe calls for gluten-free flour and gluten-free soy sauce. You don't have to use those to make the same recipe. It will still come out the same. So start out with a bowl, and it needs to be fairly good sized. And I've pre-measured to make things easier. So first, this is my gluten-free oatmeal. If you're not concerned about gluten-free, it doesn't have to be gluten-free. This is pecan meal. I buy it at the ABC. It looks like this. I like to use it in my patties and my meatball type recipes because it's ground so fine. And this is gluten-free flour. Any gluten-free flour will do, or any flour will do. It doesn't have to be gluten-free. So you put it in your bowl, blend it so that your flour and your nuts are just kind of mixed in a little bit, and we'll set that over here. Now, I have garbanzo beans and black beans. I was quite surprised to find this recipe and how easy it is to make. Have everything in there. And the ingredients are like diced onion, garlic powder, McKay's beef seasoning. If you don't know where that is, where to get it, I get it at the ABC. Sage, Now this is one that's a little bit unique of an idea. This is dried tomato skins. When I can my tomatoes, I peel the tomatoes, I dehydrate the skins, and then I add them to things like soups and patties and entrees. Nobody knows my secret, so don't tell. So to save time, I have put all those ingredients in, and I have put my water and soy sauce together. And just so if you want to see what it looks like, it's pretty well blended. I'm not sure if you can see that. Pour it in your dry ingredients. And whether you're doing gluten-free or not, it is important to let this set for at least a half hour before you proceed with making them into patties. Otherwise, it's just a little bit soupy, and I think you can see this. Now, I have some I made earlier, and that I will be making into patties after her next recipe. But as you can see, you're not going to shape patties very well with this. And so that's why it is ideal to let it set for at least a half hour. It can set longer, it won't hurt it any. So Nancy, I'll let you take over and I'll get my other stuff set up.
Let me just move my ingredients over here real quick. Okay, our family eat a lot of soup. So far this week we've had squash soup, Moroccan red lentil soup, taco soup, a little bit different than what I made tonight because I had a little more time. So I sauteed some onions and celery and garlic and put green chilies in it and just made it a little fancier. And then tonight the family's having loaded baked potato soup. So we do a lot of soups in my house. So my next recipe I'm going to show you is tomato soup, and it's probably the one that I get asked what I did most because it is so simple and easy. And if you are a fan of Campbell's tomato soups, you read the label and you're like, oh, maybe I shouldn't be using so much of this. So anyway, so I've developed this soup. Some ideas I've gotten, and we like it just as well as Campbell's or better. So I've browned my onion and garlic in here. And when I'm in a hurry, it's winter, I just use canned tomatoes. Usually I buy like a huge can of institutional size can of tomatoes and dump that in. That's how much soup I make. So you're just gonna, if you're using canned tomatoes, basically you just have to heat it up, nothing more than that. If you're using fresh tomatoes, you got to cook the tomatoes down a little bit more before you can blend them. And so you're just going to do that, and then you're going to add some basil. If you have fresh basil, that's great. If you don't, you can use start out with about a teaspoon of dehydrated basil and put that in your soup. That works. Taste it, but add some fresh stuff. The other product I love to use are these squirt herbs. This one's the basil. We're getting them in more and more places. You can buy them in refrigerator sections of most grocery stores, but Aldi's has them also in their seasoning area. And that looks really good. And how do you measure a handful? So when I use this, I just kind of squirt it. I've never gotten too much basil in my soup. And then since I'm using canned tomatoes that do have some salt in it, I'm not going to start out with as much salt as the recipe calls for. And actually the recipe I was kind of stole the idea from, use 2 teaspoons of salt where I think a teaspoon is just plenty fine. And the other thing I like to do is I like to make it just a little creamy. And so I don't really measure this. I put in a measurement on the recipe, but I don't really measure it. So I'm going to pretend that my tomatoes have all been warmed up, so everything's been heated up. And I just add a dollop of sour cream, or I really like Vegenaise. It's probably one of my more favorite. And then you have one of these handy tools. If you don't have one of these, Invest in one if you can. Otherwise, use your blender. It's an emulsion blender. And so it just makes it really easy to make cream soups. So then you're just going to cream it until you get it all nice and creamy. And it gets there. Since it's not as warm as it would normally be, it does cream a little bit slower. And so I'll show you there. Let's see, I'm going to put it into a bowl here when we serve it, but you can see it's nice and creamy now and kind of looks like white. So yeah, we'll put a little bit in here so maybe you can see it a little bit better. And I'll cook it up here, and then when Cheryl's done baking her patties, we will show you the finished product with some garnishes on it. So
that type of a blender is inexpensive. It's a great tool to have in your kitchen. And most of your places that have kitchen tools will have something like that. All right, now. I have to think when I'm doing gluten-free because I keep those cooking utensils in a separate drawer and I hadn't gotten it out. Okay, as you can see, now it doesn't hardly move. So that is definitely ready to go.
oh, go ahead.
All right, I have been preheating this skillet so that it is hot to save some time here. It doesn't really matter if you're not in a big hurry, but Nancy and I want to do these with as little time as possible so that people that are watching don't have to spend a lot of time and still understand what we're doing. Now I like to use, this is called a disher, and you can find these at your better kitchen supply stores or a restaurant supply. And I make it a flat scoop, put it in, and I'm making the bigger size. The recipe shows you two sizes. This is the bigger size that you would put on a bun as if you were going to make a burger, and you can put everything on there that you would put on a regular burger. Lettuce, tomato, mayo, some people like cheese. I slice pineapple and kind of bake it till it's almost done. That's really good on there. Some people like a lot of barbecue, some of us don't.
Sauerkraut, pickles, sauteed mushrooms.
My husband really loves sauteed onions, so I do those when I have more than us, because for just one person, it's hardly worth doing the sauteed onion.
I will take an onion and cut it like in a slice, and then I'll just like fry the onion ring.
Yeah.
Slice a lot of times next to my burger.
Yeah.
A lot of times I'm just cooking for one person, sometimes two, so it's just fry one whole onion thing.
One thing I like about this recipe is you can make them ahead of time and freeze them. Then when you're ready to serve either 2 people or 20, you just heat them in the oven, and it doesn't have to be done while you're making your meal for everybody. And I don't know if you're going to be able to see what I'm doing here, but I just flipped it over and I take the back of this and I flatten it. I have a couple of grandkids that do like these. For the smaller patty, I have not tried it with spaghetti sauce, heating it with spaghetti sauce, but that might be something worth trying to put on with when you're serving pasta. just a mushroom gravy on it and then served with like baked potatoes or some kind of rice is a good, very easy entree. And if you have a time that you can set your oven to start, let's say you're in church and you've got it set to come on at 12:30, you come home, your meal's ready.
Well, it's handy to have some timer thing set.
Yeah, these aren't quite ready yet.
Well, should I dish up a soup while those cook
Yeah,
a
why
little
don't
bit?
you do that? And then after I have a chance, I'll take them off and put them on this plate.
Okay. Well, I will dish up a bowl of the taco soup first. Let's see here if we can, if the camera can see it. So you see the corn and the beans and the tomatoes, a little bit of burger.
Looks like taco soup.
So then you can do your favorite garnishes to it. Now, I love a few corn chips in it. I like salty, crunchy things in my soup. Doesn't matter what kind of soup it is. So you want to put a few of those in. Some green onions, give it some color. Maybe some fresh tomatoes. And maybe a dollop of, yes, put that on the two. You put a dollop of guacamole and a dollop of your favorite sour cream, and then finish it off with a little bit of fresh cilantro, and you got yourself a very yummy, yummy bowl of soup on a cold Nebraska evening. So there is one soup, fast and easy, from table, from shelf in your pantry to your kettle to your table in about 15 minutes. And you can't get much faster than that to get supper ready.
And sometimes speed is important, especially if you have children and they have activities after in the evening, they get home from school, they maybe have homework and you've just gotten home and you think, oh, I only have a half hour, what can I do?
And we'll go ahead and dish up some of the tomato soup now. And you can get it creamier. It would have been a little creamier if I had heated it first, but it's going to be good still. Make yourself a grilled cheese sandwich and you'd have your soup ready to go.
It looks like we're about ready to have company here as much food as we've got. All right, this is, I'm gonna take these off because you can kind of see the size of them now and the color. Maybe grab me another plate. I can't get any more in here, but you can see these. And some people like a regular hamburger bun. Some people like the thin, I'm not even sure what they're called anymore. They're really skinny.
They're round, the thin buns are.
Yeah. And for those who like less carbs, that's a good way to go. They do hold together pretty good too. So.
Just old-fashioned bread.
And I'll tell you what, my husband likes, I bake a lot of our bread and he would prefer having our bread than a hamburger bun. So maybe one of these days I'll do a bread baking demonstration.
Yeah.
All right, well, I think I'm done. Are you?
Yeah, I think we're done. Thanks for joining us tonight.
That looks amazing. Thank you, ladies, for showing that to us. And what I'm most amazed about, even in addition to the beautiful colors, is just the time frame that this can be done in. It's really something that can be done very quickly. So
and anybody can do it. Anybody can do it.
These patties you could mix up in the morning before you go to work and fry them when you get home too.
There you go.
Before.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm going to try these here before long. Give it a whirl in the kitchen and see if I can get it done, because it looks very accessible and very easy to do.
It is.
All right. Well, thank you, everybody. Thank you all for tuning in. Thanks so much to those who've taken the time to be here. And again, a special thanks to Cheryl and Nancy. And we'll see you again next time.
Bye.
Bye.